Plenty. By 1961, Castro was laughing at American troops in the Bay of Pigs fiasco. Khrushchev was giving Kennedy a hard time, and Russia had successfully put the first man into orbit. And back home, the civil rights issue was getting out of hand in a big way. Suddenly, the poor old 59 stuck out like a sore fin. Detroit started to clean up its styling, and by 1964, the Cadillac Fin was a shadow of its former self. Almost overnight, the 59 became an embarrassing anachronism.
2, 1, 0, all engine running. Liftoff, we have a liftoff.
At the time, it was viewed as the utmost in a glimpse of the future. A future that was expected to be arriving far more imminently than turned out in practice. In fact, the future that was promised in terms of the 1959 Cadillac, here in 1994, I think still is not yet here.
Was it ever a figure of fun?
I think it certainly became that by the early, certainly the mid-70s. It was used as an example of the excesses of old America, a kind of baby boomers parody of their parents' generation, of everything that was wrong with America, everything that was wrong with America's sense of arrogance and hegemony over other countries, of other areas in the world.
In the film Deer Hunter, an essay on how the Vietnam War changed America, it was no mistake that the director chose a beat-up 59 as an aging relic of a decadent decade. And in due course, the 59 was laid to rest at Cadillac Ranch, a row of automotive tombstones, a haunting memorial to the rise and fall of both America and its tail fins.
Well, as you can see from the fins in my pool, it has a personal meaning to me as well. In some sense, it's a symbol of my own life and of my own marriage. I had a white 59 Cadillac convertible when it was a new car, and on April 29th, 1960, I drove it to a drive-in restaurant with a best friend of mine, and that's where I met my wife. I don't know whether she liked the car or she liked me or some combination of both, but that's how I met her. Without that car, I never would have met her, and it has had a very important meaning for me ever since.
But the Cad is not just a museum piece. In downtown LA, there's a woman who loves 3 and drives one every day. Why?
I won't run down my little Toyota truck. I do love it. It's a very good truck, but my Cadillac is like you're relaxed and you're comfortable and you're just like in heaven. The younger generation wants it as a hot rod because they think they could cut it down and trim it down, but the older people like it because it's the vintage of the year. They remember things that they did in it. They went to the store, they went to the drive-ins, and they raised their children in them, and they had the, like I say again, I'm always back to the room. I mean, the cars now just don't have the room. They're all little because everybody's trying to save on gas.
So if I said, here are 3 brand new cars, would you swap them for your Cadillacs?
No.
Why not?
Because you can always go out and buy 3 brand new cars. So even if you don't have enough money, you can always get them on time, good credit. You can't replace these. Just can't replace them.
If you compare them to later model Cadillacs, they're kind of like driving the Queen Mary, I suppose. The suspension's real soft. You know, they lean a lot, but you don't race these things. You just drive them. You don't go around 90-degree corners 100 miles an hour, so it really doesn't matter how they corner, I don't think. If you bought a Cadillac in '59, you had some money. And they cost, you know, maybe $4,000, something like that. I mean, it didn't cost too much more to buy a whole house. I mean, everybody says that, you know, they don't make them like they used to, and they don't.
Well, Bebop Luna, she's my baby. Bebop Luna, I don't mean Bebop-a-lula, she's my baby. Bebop-a-lula, I don't mean maybe. Bebop-a-lula, she's my baby.
Of all the cars I've ever driven, this has to be the most glorious. If you want a heavyweight ego massage, if you want to look and feel like a Texan millionaire, just try a trip down to Sainsbury's in the 59. And once you find a space large enough to park it in, just look what happens.
Let's rock!
Over a period of years, 10, 15 years later, it was ridiculed. It was, people would say, how could you have done a car like that, that was so cartoony and so exaggerated? But now, in the 90s, that car is a classic. If you don't believe that, just go out and price one. The 1959 Cadillac convertible is an expensive car.
To find out just how expensive, there's only one place to go. 7614 Sunset Boulevard, Los Angeles. Frank Correnti has been selling used caddies for the last 30 years.
This car sold for $7,400 in '59. Up until a couple of years ago, for a total car that was totally restored, it went for approximately $120,000. Now it's down to about $70,000.
So that's a tenfold appreciation.
Yes, yes. And there's no trouble selling them. There's more buyers than cars.
You've got this car here on your lot. What sort of attention does it attract?
A tremendous amount of attention. You know, we have people coming here from all over the world, and they run in here with cameras. We have tour buses stopping in here, and they never cease to take a picture of a '59 first. It's amazing. I just sit and watch them, and that's the car that attracts them. All walks of life all over the world.
The 59's place in history is as a glorious monument to those final years of unabashed American indulgence, the end of an era. For one brief hysterical moment, it stood for America's finest hour, when life was simple, carefree, and easy, and everybody had a good time. The 59 Cadillac says more about America than a whole trunk full of history books. It was the American dream.